But if they can be a middle-of-the-pack defensive team, could they win 48-51s? And if they stay healthy, 48-51s, I could see that if everything goes right. So if you want to look at projected stats for individual players, if we're looking at Domantas Sabonis, like he's a triple-double machine. Like if he can average 19 points a game, over 13.5 rebounds, and if he can shoot close to 60% from the field, and he shot his best from the three-point range, he was close to 45% from the three-point line last season. If he can hover around that this season, that's a good season for Sabonis because he is still the offensive hub of this team. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Kings-related podcast, wherever you may be. And on today's episode, with the regular season upon us, which begins tomorrow, Tuesday, and then for Sacramento, the season begins Wednesday in Phoenix. This will be my 2025-26 season preview. And then also I'll give you my prediction on what I think this team is going to do based on the way this roster is currently constructed and the fact that they play in a brutally tough Western Conference. But first, if you're watching this on our Kings-related YouTube channel, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. We're also available wherever else you get your podcast on audio form, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please hit that follow button, rate 5 stars, be much appreciated. Like, this is going to be a breakdown of the Kings' upcoming season, what is working, what still needs fixing, and at the end, my predictions on how I think things are going to play out for this Kings team this upcoming season. What's working? You got Domantas Sabonis, who could be out the first 2 games of the regular season with that grade 1 hamstring strain. But when he's playing, Sabonis remains the high-impact player, excellent rebounder, one of the best rebounders in the league. His passing ability and the scoring from the big man spot. And then you got Keegan Murray, who's going to be out maybe the first, 20 games with that thumb injury. And he just got locked in for long-term with that long-term contract, rookie scale extension, showing that this team is committed to him long-term as one of the faces of this core that Scott Perry is trying to build and that identity that he wants to cement this upcoming season. And you got the team with the veteran guard leadership with Schroeder and now Russell Westbrook in this offseason, which should help with the stability and the decision-making, hopefully, down the stretch in games and just assist-wise for this team on the floor. There's also an opportunity to reset the identity with this team. And with Scott Perry and Doug Christie and this coaching staff, there's a chance to define the clear image that they want. The toughness, the defense first, smarter rotation, and the better fit with this Kings team. And this schedule has a challenging stretch because this team has 14 back-to-back. You got a long road trip. So establishing the identity early will have to matter. Because after the first 2 games of the season, where you got Phoenix and Utah, teams I think the Kings should win. But after that, the schedule really picks up because you got the Lakers, who will be without LeBron. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder for 3 games, Minnesota for 3 games, the Nuggets for 3 games. Plus, I believe you got Golden State in there as well. You got the Grizzlies, who right now the Grizzlies are dealing with a whole bunch of injuries, but they should be a good team in the West. And you don't have Keegan Murray. Who knows how long you don't have Sabonis. It is crucial that the Sacramento Kings get off to a good start this season. And if you can win Wednesday night in Phoenix and then come home Friday for your home opener and beat Utah, start the season 2-0, that's a bonus for this Sacramento Kings team before you really get into the tough stretch of the schedule. I don't know about the fit in this roster, like without Keegan Murray, who's going to start at the 4? Are you going to start Nick Clifford, or would you go more small ball? And could you move DeRozan to the 4, Zach to the 3, and could you start Keon Ellis at the 2? And I think Doug Christie and his staff maybe play it more by matchups of who they're playing that night. So if you're playing Phoenix, I think Eubanks will play and will get the start over Sabonis with Sabonis out. But who starts at the 4? So that's going to be one of the things to watch for on Wednesday night is who gets that start. While Keegan Murray is out for maybe at least 20 games, at least, recovering from that thumb injury. You got the hamstring issue, and with Sabonis, you don't want to bring him back too soon, because if he comes back soon, he could re-aggravate that hamstring injury, and he could be out even longer, because keeping Sabonis healthy is absolutely critical for this Sacramento Kings team. Because if you already don't have your best, in my opinion, the best defender on this team in Keegan Murray. If you don't have Sabonis for a while, it's going to be tough for this Sacramento Kings team to tread water while you want to get both of them back in a brutally competitive, tough Western Conference. And this Kings team must show progress, not just hope. Because with this new regime and the tweaks to this roster, I'm telling you, this fan base and the front office, they expect improvement, not just treading water while Keegan and Sabonis are out. So for my predictions, the best outlook, if I want to say it that way, the best case scenario, if this team is healthy and Doug Christie's system is clicking early, the defense first identity with the better spacing, the fluid ball movement, Sabonis stays healthy, and he's averaging those triple-double numbers again like he's done since he's been in Sacramento. If Malik Monk can thrive as a 6th man of the year candidate, spacing the ball, energizing that second unit with Russell Westbrook, when Keegan Murray comes back and he's legitimately makes a leap and he's consistent as a 18 to 20 points per game, plus his defense, you have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. They buy into the team play of cutting isolation possessions in favor of the ball movement. And then you got Keon Ellis, Saric, Eubanks, Nick Clifford. They provide that depth and the energy. And the Kings, they become maybe, I'm not going to say top 10 defense, but if they can be a middle of the pack, middle of the ground defensive team that we haven't seen in years while maintaining a top offense, because offense is not going to be the problem with this team. But if they can be a middle of the pack defensive team, could they win 48 to 51s? And if they stay healthy, 48-51s, I could see that if everything goes right. And Sacramento could shock the Western Conference. They can grab a middle playoff seed. They become a dark horse, second round contender. But for that to happen, everything has to go right. You got to stay healthy. You got to buy into what Doug Christie and his staff and Scott Perry has been preaching all off season. And that would cement Doug as hopefully the long-term coach of this team. If we want to be realistic, if the offense remains inconsistent, brilliant some nights, a lot of stagnation on other nights, Sabonis and Murray are solid, but Zach and DeRozan, they overlap too much in the ball dominant touches. The defense improves slightly, but still hovers around that league average. Monk continues to be a valuable asset off the bench, but with Monk, he can be streaky at times where he's good, and then those head scratching moments. The bench unit, they struggle, and that's one of the questions I have about this team is the bench unit. If they struggle when the starters are out, the scoring droughts can cost this team in those close games, and the team chemistry could be decent, but not enough to overcome this loaded Western Conference where you got teams like the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, the Mavs, even the Lakers and the Clippers. We saw the Clippers in that third preseason team. That Clippers team is absolutely deep from the starting unit to the bench. And if Sacramento ends up realistically around the 500 mark and they battle for 9th or 10th seed play-in spot, they might win a play-in game, but they could fall short of a full playoff berth. And realistically, 40 to 43 wins for this team this upcoming season. You can see the encouraging growth of Keegan Murray that keeps the optimism alive long term. However, the bigger questions arise about whether Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and the Sabonis trio can coexist long term. I said it early in the offseason. I would have traded DeMar DeRozan and kept the LaVine and Sabonis together. That's what I would have done. I think in the preseason game before Sabonis went out, in that third preseason game against LA, you saw some nice things with Sabonis and LaVine in the two-man DHO action. Some really nice things. So that's if you want to say the realistic best case scenario. But if you want to go the worst case scenario, you could go 32, 35 wins, or what most people are projecting with this team, because I believe the Sacramento Kings over under right now, I believe it's 35.5 wins. And for this team to win 32 to 35 wins, the injuries are gonna hit this team. We've already seen it. Keegan Murray's out, maybe for the first month of the season with that thumb injury. Sabonis with that grade 1 hamstring strain, he is out, maybe for the first 2 games of this season. And then you got Monk, who's missed the last couple of preseason games because of illness. LaVine's got the injury history. And then the offense could bog down into the heavy ISO ball that we've seen post-trade last season, and the low three-point volume. And the three-point volume, if you cannot shoot the three ball in today's modern NBA, it's going to be tough to win games. And we saw it in the preseason. This team was absolutely horrendous shooting the three ball in the preseason this year in those 4 games. Plus, we could see the defensive improvement of this team that doesn't materialize, the poor rotations, the slow perimeter containment. Doug Christie, he struggles to find the consistent rotations for this team. And then you got the young players like Keon Ellis, who could be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. Devin Carter, Maxime Reynaud, who I believe will see more time with the Stockton Kings. They aren't ready early on for heavy minutes, but that could change if we get past the February trade deadline. And the Western Conference depth could bury this Sacramento Kings team early. And I'll say could bury this team before we hit the month of December. And that's the key for this team. And they could finish in that 11th to 13th range in the West, because with Keegan out, I can't stress this enough. With Keegan out and Sabonis out, all this Kings team needs to do is tread water before you can get them back. If you can hover around the 500 mark, you could be in a good spot. Right now, I'm leaning towards 32 to 35 wins. I don't think this is going to be. There's going to be some fun moments, but I'm not overly optimistic about this season, because I believe it's about the long term. I believe the Kings will miss the postseason this year entirely, and because I don't think they're good enough in this Western Conference. Just go down the list and look at all the teams that are better than Sacramento. So without Keegan and without Sabonis right now, if you can just hover around the 500 mark and tread water before they come back, you could be in a much better situation if you just stay around that 500 mark. That's all I think what the Kings need to do. Stay around that 500 mark. If you do, you won't bury yourself before we get to the month of December and before we hit Christmas. Because if this team's out of it by Christmas, it's going to be a long-ass season for us fans here in Sacramento and for fans of the team all over the world. So if you want to look at projected stats for individual players, if we're looking at Domantas Sabonis, like he's a triple-double machine. Like if he can average 19 points a game, over 13 and a half rebounds, and if he can shoot close to 60% from the field, and he shot his best from the three-point range, he was close to 45% from the three-point line last season. If he can hover around that this season, that's a good season for Sabonis, because he is still the offensive hub of this team. Fewer isolations and more of those DHO actions to maximize the spacing with Levine, Monk, Murray, DeRozan, even Clifford, and the defensive effort should improve, hopefully, with Eubanks helping to take some of the physical matchups. If we're looking at Keegan Murray, maybe 18.5 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. If he can tick up his assists to maybe 2.5, and then shoot close to 50% from the field, and if he can get back to what he was in his rookie season from the three-point, from beyond the arc, close to 40%, that is good for Keegan Murray for this upcoming season. Because when he comes back from his injury, can he make that leap this year? His off-ball movement, spot-up shooting, it's key, balancing out the Levine and DeRozan on-ball tendencies of this Kings team. And if Keegan defends other teams' wings well, he could flirt with most improved player this season. But I think you can't miss more than 19 games to be eligible for those postseason awards. So, and I know Keegan, I believe he said in the media day that he wants to be in contention for most improved player this upcoming season. So hopefully he can do that. Zach LaVine, like one of the best offensive players on this team. If he can average 20 points a game, he can shoot close to 40% from three, 47.5 from the field. That's good. Free throws in that 84.5 range, free throw percentage range. That's good, because he is the most dynamic scorer on this team when he is healthy. And you can expect Doug Christie to reduce the isolation possessions and empathize quick decision out of screens, and his defense will dictate late game minutes. And I've been impressed that I think he's one of the few who have actually bought in to the defensive role this preseason that Doug Christie wants to preach. I've kind of been impressed with Zach's defense in the preseason. He's not going to be the elite defender, but let's see if that can carry over to the regular season. If we're looking at DeRozan, he's still a lethal from that mid-range, the president of the mid-range committee, and in clutch moments as well. And the key will be adapting to the off-ball play for DeRozan when sharing the floor with Zach and Sabonis, and expect plenty of late clock touches, but fewer high usage possessions from DeRozan. If he can average close to 20 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, maybe 5 assists a game, shoot close to 50% from the field, that'd be a good season for DeMar Darnell DeRozan. Malik Monk, if he can repeat as a 6th man of the year contender, Monk will be the emotional spark off this Kings bench and a secondary playmaker, and his chemistry with Sabonis remains one of this team's biggest strengths, and Monk's got to be healthy as well. If he can average over 16.5 points, shoot close to 45% from the field, if he can get up to the 40% range from 3-point, good season from Malik Monk. Dennis Schroeder, veteran leader, that tempo, he controls the tempo of this team as the point guard, and his perimeter defense and his minutes will stabilize. Hopefully that starting unit as the starting point guard. So, and we saw FIBA Schroeder in that final preseason game. Hopefully he shook off some of the rust in the first 3 games, and what we saw in that final preseason game is what we get from Dennis Schroeder, hopefully, as we start the regular season this upcoming Wednesday in Phoenix against the Suns. Keon Ellis, we know about his defense. Ellis, Island, and if he can become consistent from 3, he could still a starting level role in defensive matchups, because if Doug goes small and you start Keon at the 2 and then you move Levine and DeRozan down to the 3 and the 4 position while Keegan's out, Keon Ellis could be your starting 2 guard on Wednesday night. Would I do that? Probably not. I would probably start Clifford at the 4 and Eubanks at the 5, but I'm not the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. That's Doug Christie and his coaching staff's decision to do starting Wednesday when the Kings tip it off for game 1 of 82 games. What are you hoping? And so to close this out, for my prediction of this Kings team, I predict this team will win in the range of 32 to 35 wins this season. And that's going to be on the outside of the play-in for this season. The X factor of this season, it will be Malik Monk's efficiency, Keegan Murray taking a leap this upcoming season, and the rotations for Doug Christie as he is in his first full year as the head coach of this team. And we know the top 3 scorers are going to be Levine, Sabonis, and Keegan Murray. In my opinion, will be the top 3 scorers on this team. And wins, I just said it, I think this team wins either 32 to 35 wins this upcoming season, because I think when we get to the trade deadline, I think this team is in for a fire sale when we get to the deadline. And that is when, post-deadline, we will see lots of Nick Clifford, Maxime Reynaud, and maybe more Isaac Jones. Speaking of Isaac Jones, would you start him in the starting lineup while Keegan's hurt, while he's out with that thumb injury? Let me know in the comments down below who you would start while Keegan Murray is out. And thanks for tuning in to this Kings season preview episode of our Kings-related podcast. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. And follow us wherever you get your podcast on audio form, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll catch you on our next episode of our Kings-related podcast, which will be Wednesday night following Kings and Suns for the post-game recap of that first game of this regular season. And as always, take care and go Kings.